messages from the executive. And so I'm going to start with the one that was written for me, and then we'll invite the executive to come up. He signed and approved ordinance 2025-528 on September 16th, which was ratifying a collective bargaining agreement with Council 2, Washington State Council of County Employees, and American Federation of State and County and Municipal Employees. This is for our lieutenant in the corrections area. And the second item is the budget, which is why so many people are in chambers today. So welcome, Executive Mello.
Well, thank you so much. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the council. For the record, my name is Ryan Mello. I have the great privilege of serving all the people of Pierce County as the county executive. And today I'm honored to present my first biennial budget to you for your review, your consideration, and your eventual approval. It's a big milestone. A lot of work went into this, and we're very much sincerely looking forward to the meaningful engagement with you and your staff. But the guiding theme of our administration is forward together. And the proposed budget that I have submitted to you reflects our approach. Look, forward together, it's more than a slogan. Forward together is more than just a way to organize our thinking. Forward together is a commitment that we hold really dear here at Pierce County to building a Pierce County that allows us to build communities that are safe, welcoming, and connected, and for everyone. So I'm really proud of the progress we're making together on urgent needs like building more housing, in particular more affordable housing, on getting at the opioid crisis that has afflicted too many, and crime reduction, right? Crime is down by all measures. But we must be realistic. We face significant headwinds, and our financial path forward is quite uncertain, and we have big challenges on the financial front. Next slide, please. So about these fiscal realities and these economic challenges, you're going to hear a lot more in the coming weeks from our finance director. And I know she's already been sharing this information with you in quarterly financial updates. So a lot of this information is not new to the council, but it's real and it's significant. So we have major fiscal realities, uncertainties, and economic challenges. Pierce County continues to grapple with a structural budget deficit. Put simply, this means that our revenues are not rising as quickly as our expenses are. So even with lean staffing, a hiring freeze, limits on out-of-state travel, the growth in our costs continues to outpace the growth in our revenues. I know Director DeMuth has been sharing with you, our funding sources. One of our core funding sources, our sales tax, is not meeting our budget projections, and that's simply because of our economic headwinds and economic conditions. That's just one of the uncertainties that we have in front of you, in front of us, and we're going to grapple with all of that in detail over the coming weeks together. Next slide, please. The biennial budget in front of you reflects economic uncertainties we face, and these economic uncertainties include things like limited revenue streams that simply do not keep up with the pace of the cost of doing business. I remind folks that our city partners have many more different diversified revenue streams than we do in county government. In county government, we really only have two stable funding streams, sales tax and property tax. Our city partners have other diversified revenue streams to really diversify their income, to be able to weather those economic conditions. So they have utility taxes and business and occupation tax, in addition to sales tax and property tax. The state has many, many more funding streams, in addition to those four that cities enjoy to provide core public services. Again, we have two. And when the economy faces significant headwinds, one of the two, sales tax, really creates major challenges for us. The other budget uncertainties that we face, things like the end of COVID-19 pandemic funding sources that we've relied on to do things like pay for recruitment and retention bonuses for law enforcement officers and corrections officers, to build more affordable housing, to really get at the interventions that we know work on homelessness, right, and so much more. We have strategically spent down these COVID-19 pandemic funds and made really good progress with those one-time expenses, those one-time investments. But that's bringing uncertainty to many who have really relied on those investments. Federal budget cuts and potential grant losses provide significant challenges. We've already lost 2 federal grants from the start of the year and the start of this federal administration. 2 grants doing essential work, public safety work, to get people out of harm's way and prepare for things like active shooter scenarios and really significant public safety response were rescinded by the federal administration. So these federal cuts and potential grant losses mean real uncertainty for us. State laws that impose new costs, like public defense caseload standards, you're going to see is a real cost that we have to contend with, one that we were not originally planning for when we walked into this year, but is a real cost. And other state budget challenges that ripple down to counties like ours make up these budget uncertainties. Despite these headwinds, this budget that I'm presenting to you today is designed to responsibly navigate the uncertainty in front of us, while continuing to work with legislators and our department leaders to address our long-term structural budget deficits. Next slide, please. Look, at the same time, I want to underscore that because of the cost-saving measures my administration put in place at the beginning of this year, because of them, in developing this biennial budget, we were able to avoid having to make deep cuts to programs and staffing levels. These cost-saving measures aren't fun. They weren't easy to make, but they were necessary. And they're paying off. As designed, they're making it so that I can put a budget in front of you that does not rely on layoffs and significant staffing level reductions and program reductions because of the actions we took toward the beginning of the year. This includes a countywide hiring freeze with limited exemptions for essential public safety positions and mandated positions. These cost-saving measures also include things like out-of-state travel for county employees, closer evaluation of the use of vacancy savings, and more scrutiny on scaling back non-essential spending. These are the examples of the kinds of cost-saving measures we put in place towards the beginning of the year, and we've added more as the moment has called for them. Next slide, please. As we built the proposal, we anchored every decision in front of us to core principles. So the analysis we did with every proposal coming in front of me and my team was, first, how do we minimize legal risk to the county? Second, how do we fulfill essential obligations? Third, how do we keep vulnerable people safe? And fourth, how do we make meaningful progress on our strategic priorities? These principles helped us stay focused, helped us focus on taking care of our must-do responsibilities and protecting what matters most while still advancing the needs we hear of from our residents. Next slide, please. So our top priority, you find it in our strategic plan. We hear it from our residents all the time. I hear it from you. Our top priority is clear. It's building communities that are safe for everyone. And building communities that are safe for everyone means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. More than 77% of the general fund is dedicated to public safety. 77% of our general fund. So public safety and criminal justice make up 77% of our general fund, with the sheriff's office alone receiving 42% of that 77% share. The sheriff's department alone makes up 42% of that budget. That comes out to approximately $380 million. So when you add in the prosecuting attorney's office, superior court, district court, the juvenile court, assigned counsel, emergency management, it's clear Pierce County invests first and foremost in keeping our community safe. That's our commitment, and it's our clear priority in our budget. This budget ensures that commitment continues. The overwhelming majority of new employees that are added to this budget are in our law enforcement and criminal justice departments. Our goal is to sustainably fund strategies to reduce crime long-term, lower recidivism, creating opportunities for young people so they don't get into a cycle of criminal activity, and supporting a fair and effective law and justice system to serve the people of Pierce County. You'll continue to hear me talk a lot more about the need to address our structural budget deficit, especially in the criminal justice space that bears the burden of most of our general fund expenses, so that we can sustain this work. So a lot more on this, a lot more on what it's going to take to sustain this level of investment that I am proposing will be coming from me in the coming weeks. And I ask for your partnership in the coming weeks as we develop strategies together to sustain this level of investment. So despite the economic headwinds, all the challenges that are in front of us, we still must make meaningful progress on our strategic priorities over the next 2 years, the life of this biennial budget. Over the next 2 years, this budget will guide progress in 4 areas in particular. You're going to learn about all the detail over the next 2 months that's embedded in this proposal in every department and office, but I want to highlight just 4. You're going to get to spend a lot of excruciating time and detail. It's not excruciating because Julie DeMuth is incredibly talented and fun, so it's not excruciating. If I had to lead this, it would be excruciating. But thank goodness Julie DeMuth is here. You are going to go into excruciating detail, but it won't be excruciating. So there are 4 areas where I want to highlight that we're going to continue to focus on, and despite all of our challenges, we absolutely have to make progress on. The first is affordable housing. Pierce County needs roughly 5,700 new housing units each year over the next 20 years to keep up with the growth. People want to live here. People are moving here. It's a growing community. We've got to keep up with that growth in a sustainable way. Half of those 5,700 new housing units must be affordable for lower and middle income families. So this budget supports partnerships, policies, and investments of all kinds to meet that big challenge of providing affordable housing so that everybody has a place to lay their head at night. The second major challenge we're staying really focused on is our behavioral health system and detox services. We've done a lot of work, passage of the behavioral health therapeutic courts tax, to make some initial investments in this space. We have a lot more work to do to get a lot smarter about how we make these investments and leverage state and federal resources, philanthropic dollars, and this really complicated space in the behavioral health system. You're going to see specific proposals from me that you're going to learn about in this proposed budget so that we can be much smarter, more targeted, and more strategic about how we get at this complicated system. We've launched things already like mobile behavioral health units so that we don't have everyone come to Tacoma to receive these kinds of critical services. We can go to them, especially serve our rural residents, our suburban residents, and reduce those transportation barriers that so many people see when trying to receive these services. We've expanded detox services from 5 days to 10 days. It's been a big deal, so that we can provide more detox options and detox options for people suffering from substance use disorder where the service can actually stick and make them stable for the long term. You know, opioid-related deaths are our county's leading cause of accidental death. And these kinds of investments that we've already started to make will help us get ahead of this crisis, but we have to sustain these services in our community and figure out how to expand them. Our goal is that every resident should be able to access treatment and recovery when and where they need them. The third area that has our deep focus in the next 2 years is crime reduction and prevention. Proven strategies like expanding out of school time enrichment programs, after school, summertime, wintertime, helps all families succeed. The kinds of programs we are starting to lift off to prepare people for re-entry after being in prison or in jail. These are the kinds of programs that work to keep people from cycling into the criminal justice system. And the meaningful diversion programs that we've been investing in help get at root causes of crime. So folks stop in that cycle of crime and don't commit crime to begin with. These kinds of programs are proven to work, and they reduce the risk of future crime. We're also adding funding for law enforcement, for prosecutors, for our public defenders, and our courts, because we know they need more staffing to address cases in a timely and fair manner. The fourth and final area that really needs our focus over the next 2 years is the implementation of our Vision Zero program and a safer transportation system for our county. I really want to thank the council for approving our Vision Zero plan at the beginning of the year. It's now time to take it into implementation. The Vision Zero initiative is about making life-saving improvements to roads and infrastructure. Look, our data shows that the leading cause of fatalities in our transportation system is lane departures. People getting out of their lane while driving. That's the leading cause of fatality on our roadways. We also hear all the time, too many kids don't have a safe way to walk to school. Too many adults can't cross the street safely in their own neighborhoods. Infrastructure, how we design our communities, plays a major role in keeping people safe and helping get people to where they need to be in a safe and reliable way. Everyone deserves to arrive safely to school or at home at the end of the day, and that's what our Vision Zero program promises, and that's what we're working to deliver with your support. Next slide, please. Look, beyond programs and infrastructure, we know that our strength lies in the people of Pierce County, the people who wake up every day to serve our residents. In my first 8 months as county executive, I've made it to many, can't say all yet. Hopefully by the end of next year, I'll be able to say, we have a lot of work sites. In my first 8 months, I've made it to many work sites, being able to see how our employees wake up every day excited to serve our community. They're innovative, they're committed, they have great ideas, and they want to share them. And they love their jobs. We have a really talented workforce. I'm deeply proud of our county employees. Their commitment to public service, especially in these tough times, is really inspiring. That's also why I'm pleased that this budget does not rely on layoffs to balance it. We maintain an incredibly competitive compensation and competitive benefits package with this budget and total compensation package to respect and support our workforce who wakes up every day to serve the people of Pierce County. And by far, our personnel costs Our salaries and benefits of our employees is by far our greatest expense. Look, we're also committed to supporting the families that we serve and creating good paying jobs across Pierce County. But it's not just about our workforce. The people and partnerships that we get to develop every day in the community are really where the magic happens. So included in this budget are funds to provide paid internships for young people so that they can enter the workforce ready to work, strengthen our workforce. You'll see in my proposal investments for childcare. We hear all the time how important accessible and affordable childcare is so that moms and dads can go to work every day. So you'll see some bold investments in childcare. All of this to make sure that the people of Pierce County can reach their full potential and make meaningful contributions to our community. Next slide, please. So especially in time of financial challenge, it's really important that we hear from the people that are most affected by our policy and budget decisions. So we listen to our communities in lots of different ways. We listen to our communities through surveys. We do the American Community Survey, which is statistically significant. And I know Julie DeMuth is going to share a lot of the detail of the findings from the American Community Survey and other surveys that we do on a regular basis. Those findings from those surveys help focus us and learn in a statistically significant way what's most important to the people of Pierce County. But we also listen to our boards and commissions. Right? We have 45 boards and commissions. Almost every week you're entertaining confirmation of members I send to you for confirmation of appointment so that we can have really capable, engaged community members on those 45 boards and commissions on almost every topic under the sun be able to advise us on what matters most. So we listen to them, and this budget is informed by many of the recommendations we get from those boards and commissions. They're also informed by roundtables. I've been hosting a series of roundtables. I've met with you in all of your districts to meet with our employees, to meet with small business owners, community members, chambers of commerce, to listen to what's most important to them. And over the last couple of months, we've held 4 Safe Communities roundtables focused on how we make this community safer and hearing what this community thinks about safety and what investments we need to make this community safer. And direct messages. Like you, we watch the input from proposals coming to council. Like you, our email inbox is flooded with input from community members. We read all of that, take that all in, and all of that input is what helps inform the engagement and collaboration of the proposal that's in front of you. That feedback shapes decisions and it keeps us accountable. So my budget includes several items that we heard about directly from our community partners in schools, in neighborhoods, directly from law enforcement, from our service providers, from small business owners and employees working on the front lines with clients and customers. Look, I'm really grateful for everyone who shared their ideas and perspectives. So Forward Together is not just about government. Forward Together is about all of us moving forward in partnership. The county council, our staff, community partners, and residents. Next slide, please. So in closing, this budget reflects both realism and optimism. Realism about the challenges ahead of us, an optimism about what we can do with our limited resources, how we can achieve impact when we work together. I want to be real with you. I always am. But in this moment, I really want to be real. Look, this is not the budget that I had hoped to deliver when I first entered this office. I have much higher ambitions for our community, and I know you do too. There are so many more investments that we need to make to meet the needs of our growing community. But with a healthy dose of reality, an updated financial picture, a really uncertain federal partnership, we have real headwinds ahead of us. I had to adjust our ambitions and all of the new programs and initiatives that I wanted to bring forward and all of the new staffing levels that I know our many departments need to do their job. Our departments run incredibly lean, and they work very hard to do the very best job they can. So of course I would want to bring a lot more investments to you. And the investments that I am bringing to you are smart, they help us reduce our risk, and they make impact on the most important things that we need to make movement on over the next 2 years. So, Madam Chair, I want to commend this budget to you and the Council. Executive departments and executive staff stand ready to answer any and all questions that you're going to have over the next 2 months. Executive departments and executive staff will help you to understand all of the details that I have come to appreciate during my deliberations since the springtime. I want to thank everyone who helped us get to this moment to be able to deliver to you a very thoughtful, strategic, and balanced budget. It takes countless hours of a very talented and committed staff team to be able to do this. Led by Julie DeMuth, who has assembled a very talented budget, and finance and administration and performance management team. Thank you, Julie, for your many, many hours and leadership. Scott Nicholson, our Deputy County Executive, led our budget development process. Our very capable executive staff played major roles to make sure that executive departments were bringing forward decision packages that made sense, that were in alignment with council priorities, and that were the right investments for the right time and investments that we can afford and that made sense. I'm very grateful to all of our very committed executive staff. Our department directors, separately electeds, their management teams spend countless hours poring over what is needed most in their departments to meet state mandates and meet their most important demands of their departments. And they put very thoughtful proposals in front of us to then make this proposal to you. I'm very grateful to everyone who's had a hand in developing this budget. So with this budget, I believe we can move Pierce County forward together. I want to thank you for your time, for all of the countless hours you're going to spend poring over the budget. And I just really appreciate your thoughtful consideration for the ideas that we are bringing to you, that we truly believe will move Pierce County forward together. And Madam Chair, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mello, and I will also acknowledge and thank the many hours that I know that your staff were there to support you in making these decisions. I'm going to look to my colleagues to see if you have questions. We're not doing like item by item type questions today. We've got 2 months of time to do that. This is theme, wonders, curiosities. We'll go to Councilmember Denson.
And unfortunately, I don't have a question. Maybe I'll have one by the end of my, I just want to make, no, I know you can handle it because I know you know the county so well. I just wanted to make some comments on your priorities that I feel also really reflect the priorities of my constituents. Especially recently, I've been hearing quite a bit about concerns about not crime per se, but our staffing levels at our sheriff office, both deputies and correctional. And of course, I think a lot of people don't realize how many more folks are involved in our criminal justice and public safety system. You mentioned prosecutors, so I'm just excited to hear about your investments and your thoughtful investments in those areas. And I know that the individuals that I represent are going to appreciate that as well. So I look forward to digging into that. You mentioned road safety. I have both urban and rural areas in my district, and road safety, people speeding, people leaving their lanes, for example. We don't have a lot of shoulder improvements where I'm at. So intersections that are problematic. So I really, really appreciate road safety because we want people of all ages, but of course I always think of, our most vulnerable, especially our young drivers, our kids without public transit in the rural areas that are walking along these roadways with no shoulders and ditches. So road safety is so important, and I know you appreciate that, so I liked hearing about that. Behavioral health and detox, you mentioned the opioid epidemic. That's something that's really important to me. Not only substance abuse issues that we have in our community that, we're seeing nationally, but we're really, I think, leading in our real thoughtful efforts to actually address it and try new things and try new things and try new things until we figure out what works, and being really efficient with those dollars. That's really important. And then, of course, housing, which has continued to be a theme, again, nationally, but it's something that we're really taking thoughtful action about, putting our money where our mouth is, really being efficient with resources, working with providers and developers, both for-profit and nonprofit, that are producing housing. We are not messing around with that. We've seen great results, and I look forward to digging into the budget to see what else you have planned. And then just last, childcare. Was really excited to hear about that. And support for our young people, the paid internships. I know I've kind of been on both sides of that issue before, just making sure that our investments are, I guess, reaching the most amount of people, but I really look forward to looking at that because I think we've got a lot of young adults that are struggling to find their way. They're not sure if college is right for them. They can't afford college. They're looking at other opportunities. There's just a lot going on for our young adults. So this is one tool that could really make sure that they're self-sufficient, which as a parent of young adults is what we are really concerned about. We want them to be able to take care of themselves and be good community members. So thank you for this.
Thanks for those reflections.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Ayala.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today. And I really just wanted to say thank you for your commentary around adjusting our ambitions. I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is having to explain to community members what we hope to do, what we have capacity to do, and the constraints and limitations through which we have to navigate all this work. And so glancing through the 400-plus document that was sent, I appreciate how digestible this is, and big kudos to the entire finance team for making that so, because I've often said government isn't necessarily the most friendly to those that are not in the know, and the better that we can calibrate those expectations and make things digestible, the better we can start to bridge some of those trust components that have been lost over the years. So though it is not what we want to see because we want more and hope for more, there is a silver lining there that I really appreciate that the office has brought forward. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. We're going to go to Councilmember Yambe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Mr. Executive, and your office for this incredible overview of what is to come. I just want to say on a couple thoughts that they will echo Councilmember Denson, I think, in my district, that the housing affordability, the transportation improvements that are necessary for people to get around safe are extremely important. And as we've seen in the last couple of years, that the pedestrian fatalities in my district have increased, and the public safety aspect. Really, we've been out and talking to neighbors, and we've heard those things, and so I really appreciate it really being absorbed and being taken to heart. These are not things that sometimes you would consider from a Democratic administration. A lot of the framing of this and the realities that you are putting forward are really thinking about what are the core services of the county government that we need to be paying attention to, but also making sure that we don't balance our budgets on staff. We do not cut with hatchets, that we're going through with scalpels, and making sure that the things that we are continuing to invest in and protect are those that will pay benefits years to come when we get out of these intense cutbacks. As somebody who first came into government around the time that you did, that, you know, seeing the situations that you don't choose, the conditions you don't get to choose, what you're going to face when you're in office. But I can appreciate just this document in itself, and the highlights show that, you know, you've learned those lessons from before, and that you're being very consistent and thoughtful about it. So I'm very looking forward to jumping into this first budget process for myself. So thank you, and to your staff for this well put together document, and look forward to having further discussions about how we make this a fair process for everyone. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you. Councilmember Morrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My button wasn't working, so
Budget cuts.
I can't, you know, I can't let an opportunity go by and, you know, give you a little bit on your first budget. Obviously now you know, and, you know, from the council perspective, you knew what we had to do to the exec's budget. It's not as bad as the state, where we throw it in the garbage and start all over again. But, you know, you've got another perspective on what you're dealing with, and you are kind of boxed in, as you said, to what we have available. This council, majority of this council, managed the one-time funding of both CARES Act and American Rescue Plan money, I think, very well, with the understanding that this isn't for ongoing programs. This is one-time investment, because hopefully we will not go into another pandemic and have the federal government just give out hundreds of millions of dollars. So, you know, there again, with that coming to an end, also, you know, gave you a challenge to what the priorities are going to be moving forward. As a county, we're chartered with core services that we have to provide, and that is law enforcement, the courts, jail, and a few other things. And, you know, there again, that's why a majority of our funding goes towards that requirement. And, you know, everything else is kind of fits into other baskets that we need to make the community livable and also sustainable. And as you know, we have a very geographically large county that needs to shrink a little bit. And, you know, we'll see what we can do in the next few years to deal with that issue. But, you know, this is no easy task. And I think there again, just delivering a balanced budget is a great thing to do anymore. You know, and looking at some of the other priorities, you know, we'll take a look at them and maybe rearrange the deck chairs a little bit. But I think there again, we are very restrictive on what we can really do. You know, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 10 here, 10 there. But, you know, we're kind of in a challenging time. So looking forward to working with you and my colleagues to come up with a reasonable budget that we can move forward and that you could sign. So more conversations, but thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you to your directors and everybody who participated in it. Of course, Julie, champion of finance. So thank you.
Thank you for the comments and reflections. I feel like someone needs to ask you a question, so I'm going to ask you a question. One of the items that was of topic last year was the Community Needs Fund. So can you share a little bit about the Community Needs Fund? Are you phoning a friend?
Yeah.
It's okay. That's why we have people to support us.
I'm sorry, Councilmember.
So just curious about where you landed with community needs, and I haven't had a chance to dig into it closely, but.
You'll see in the proposed budget that that I've made an allocation of $375,000 for the operations part of Community Needs Fund. Every council district has a $375,000 appropriation for you to make. The design is per district, per the code that we adopted together. And then there's the capital allocation, and I make proposals to you in the capital appropriation, I think in strong alignment with council priorities and the strategic priorities that I put forward to you. So again, in short, there's a $375,000 appropriation for the executive's portion of that, $375,000 each per council member, and then the $1 million in capital appropriation from the Community Needs Fund in 4 areas. One is the community center in Parkland, the unincorporated area of Parkland that doesn't really have a community center and a sense of place, and so helping that community fulfill their vision to have a community center. We are their local government. The second is a child care and workforce training facility being led by the Pierce County Central Labor Council, who's working really hard to provide a really modern, forward-thinking place for child care and workforce training, so we can train the workers of the future and have child care for folks who go to work every day. And there's other investments in food security. So the last 2 investments of the $1 million capital appropriation are both in the food security space, both organizations on the capital appropriation on food security. Both of them have a very county-wide footprint. There's a lot of great organizations doing food security work. And it's not the only food and security appropriation in the budget, but for the $1 million of the Community Needs Fund, there's 2 organizations I'm proposing we invest in with these capital dollars. Again, both of them have a very large, near county-wide footprint. And so again, I think those investments are very much in alignment with council priorities as we've been listening to all of your council study sessions and budget retreats to date.
Thank you. I just couldn't let you off the hook. So I'm not seeing any other lights come up with questions. So thank you very much for the work that you did. We look forward to the next couple of 2 months, 8 weeks of time to really dig in, see where things align, and then appreciation to the department staff. And Julie will be spending a lot of time together along with your team. So thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you for your consideration.